Welcome to writing lesson number 5 on task 2, writing an essay. Before you start this lesson, you will need to have the following to hand: your training booklet, a pen or pencil, a rubber, lined paper and a time set for 13 minutes for practice 1 and then 18 minutes for practice 2. After this lesson, you will have an understanding of what to expect in the writing task 2, in which you need to write a discursive essay, an essay including arguments. You will have a clear overview of the task and have learned some tips and strategies on how best to approach it. You will also have a chance to practice using authentic tasks and compare your answers to a model answer. Now we'll have a look at how task 2 is marked. It is again marked by examiners using band scores, which you can find in your training booklet. The band scores this time for task 2 are task response, which is have you answered the whole question, coherence and cohesion, which is how have you organised your writing and how easy it is to follow, lexical resource, which is vocabulary, and grammatical resource, which is grammar. For example, if you were to get a 5 in task response, a 5 in cohesion and coherence, a 6 and a 6 for lexical resource and grammatical resource, you would overall get a 5.5 as it is the average. We will look at this criteria and its relevance in the writing task in this lesson. Each marking criteria is marked, but you won't ever get to see the score. The score you will get to see is an overall score which is made up of tasks 1 and 2. First of all, we'll have a look at the format for task 2. Task 2 is an essay in which you have to discuss a given topic and give your own opinions. It is 250 words long and you will find some useful phrases in your training booklet. As with task 1, it is important to have a structure and plan your writing, and that's what we'll be practicing in this lesson. First of all, we're going to firstly look at a task together and secondly practice once together with my guidance, and then thirdly you will have the chance to practice a task 2 alone. First of all, let's look at task 2.1 in your booklet and read the question carefully. It is also here on this screen. I'll give you a little bit of time to do that. Here are some questions you can ask yourself when you read it. What is the question? How many parts are there to the question? And do you agree or disagree? First of all, what is the question? The question is if you agree or disagree with a smoking ban in public. Be careful here. It is not a question of banning smoking in offices. This in the question refers to the smoking ban in public places, not whether you agree or disagree with it. Then, how many parts are there to the question? There are 2 parts, maybe 3, depending on your answer. Do you agree or disagree? This one is really up to you. You can only agree or disagree if you want. You don't have to have a balance of arguments. However, a better answer would include arguments for both sides, perhaps also including a concession. Now we're going to have a look at the band descriptors and how they are relevant to your answer. What do you expect in a good answer? Take a minute to think about it. What do you think the examiner is looking for? The examiner will be looking for things like this: that you have answered the whole question, that you have good, clear paragraphing and linking words, and that you have a range and accuracy of vocabulary and grammar. Now you can look at the band descriptors in your book and the sample essay and decide what score you would give the candidate. Pause the video here and just start it again when you're ready. As you can see, the candidate gets a 9 in task response. This is because they answered the whole question, use their own opinions and give supporting arguments for each opinion. They also get a 9 in cohesion and coherence, as they had clear paragraphs with a topic sentence in each paragraph, which is important, and as well as showing good use of linking words, as you can see in each paragraph. If you go through the essay and circle the linking words, you can see that they have used 2 in each paragraph. They also got a 9 in lexical resource. They used a good range of vocabulary and it is accurate. The use of the word smoke is especially good. They use it as a gerund, as a noun, as a verb and as an adjective, so they've shown flexibility. And lastly, they get a 9 in the grammatical resource, as they show a good range of structures and it is always accurate. Some candidates are surprised that this essay gets a 9 because of the slightly non-academic introduction and tone of the essay. However, we choose to show this essay as a model in order to show you that it doesn't have to be very academic in order to get a very good score. You will find some useful phrases and vocabulary in your training booklet. You can and should refer to this while you are doing the next 2 practice tasks. After that, in the extra practice tasks, you should try to remember the phrases. Now we're firstly going to look at a task together and secondly practice once together with my guidance, and then you have to have a chance to write a task alone. First of all, you would normally look at the task and take a minute to understand the question. Then you would have 5 minutes to plan the essay, 10 minutes to write an introduction. This does seem like a long time, 15 minutes to plan the essay and write an introduction, but it is the most important part in our opinion. Then you have 18 minutes to write the main body and 5 minutes to write a conclusion. Finally, as in task 1, you should take a minute to check your writing. Now let's look at writing task number 2.2 in your training booklet or on this slide. The first thing you need to do is to understand the question which we've just practiced. So here I'm going to give you 1 minute to see if you understand the question. Don't forget to ask yourself the questions: what does the question about and how many parts are there to it? You can start now. Okay, so let's look at what you understood. The question refers to if, on the whole, nuclear technology is a good or a bad thing, if it has more benefits than drawbacks. The 2 phrases in the first sentence are examples only, so about the threat of nuclear weapons and nuclear power provides cheap and clean energy. The question has two parts and you should have a rough idea of where you stand. Now you need to plan your essay. I'm going to use the question from task 2.1 to show you a planning method. Then I will give you 5 minutes to plan the essay on nuclear technology. So first of all, you need to look at the question and decide if you agree or disagree. You will probably have more arguments either for or against a smoking ban in public places. But we're going to use the model answer here as an example. So if you'd like to look at that example, you can see that their first main argument, they agree. And why do they agree? Because it is unhealthy. And why is it unhealthy? Because it can give you lung cancer and skin problems. The first question that you need to ask yourself is, why do you agree? And this will give you the main argument or the topic sentence. You need to have a main argument and or a topic sentence in each paragraph for the task response and also for the coherence and cohesion. So you're really getting two things in this one question. Then you can ask yourself, why is it unhealthy? And you have your supporting argument. The second paragraph, the writer also agrees again. And then we can ask ourselves, why do you agree? And the second reason they are giving is passive smoking. So the second main argument is passive smoking. Why is passive smoking a problem? And they're saying because it is dangerous for others, for example, pregnant mothers. And lastly, in the last and third paragraph, they disagree without actually contradicting themselves. So we call this a concession. Their main argument is because of individual rights, and their supporting arguments would be to offer some possibilities as, for example, restricted areas. Now, if you follow this plan, as I already said, you will make sure that you are A, answering the whole question, which is very important for task response. And if you want to get a 7 or above, then you have to make sure you've answered the whole question fully and given arguments. And secondly, you're also making sure that you have clear paragraphs. Once you have this plan, it's really easy to start writing. And when you're writing the main body, you just use this plan to follow this plan and use it to write your essay, ticking off the paragraphs as you go along, making sure that you have included your arguments. Now you have 5 minutes to plan your answer to task 2.2 on this slide and in your training booklet. If you finish before, just go to the next slide where we'll have a look at an example plan. You can start now and I'll tell you when the time is up. Okay, your time is up. Now we're going to have a look at a few examples of how you could plan your answer. First of all, you need to ask yourself, do you agree or disagree? Again, as in the first example we looked at, let's say that you agree. Then you need to say, why do you agree? And that will give you your main argument. And then why is that your main argument will give you your supporting argument. Then you would go on to the second part or the second paragraph. Again, let's just say that you agree. And why do you agree would give you your main argument, and why again will give you your supporting arguments. And lastly, let's say that you have a concession. Why do you have this concession? Why do you disagree? You would have your main argument, and lastly, your supporting argument would come from there. Now, obviously, I can't assume what you have done here and what arguments you have. If you would like to send me your plan, you're more than welcome to send it to our email address. Now you're going to write an introduction to the essay. You will have 10 minutes to do this. You can set your time for 10 minutes now and then stop the video. You should also refer to and use the vocabulary in your training booklet on page 17 and 18. We will check your answer at the end once you've written the whole essay. You can pause the video now and start the timer and press play again when you've finished. Now you can write the main body. Using your plan that you have from part 1 and ticking off the stages and the paragraphs and the arguments as you go through them, you can write in 18 minutes the main body of the essay. You should use appropriate vocabulary, a good range of grammatical structures. You can always use the vocabulary in your booklet for this practice. You can start your timer, which is set to 18 minutes, and pause this video lesson now. Once you've finished, just press play and you'll go on to the next slide. Now you can take 5 minutes to write a short conclusion. You should use the vocabulary in your training booklets on page 17 and 18 to help. I will tell you when the time is up. You can start now. Okay, your time is up now. Lastly, you need to check your writing. You can take a minute to read through your writing, check for spelling mistakes, punctuation, clear paragraphs, and that you can read your writing. You can start now and I will tell you when the time is up. Okay, your time is up now. Now you can read the example in your training booklet and compare your writing to this. When you finish, just go to the next slide and you can pause it for now. Again, if you would like feedback on your writing as well as comparing it to the model answer, then just send it to us in an email. Now go to practice task 2.3 in your training booklet. You can set your timer for 40 minutes this time. You should use the vocabulary in your training booklet for now and just write the essay as you would in the real exam. You can pause the video and start the timer, and when you finish, just go to the next slide. Okay, so now you can compare your answer to the model answer in your training booklet, and if you would like feedback, send the essay to us for feedback. That is the end of lesson 5 on task 2 and your last writing lesson. After a short quiz, you can go on to the speaking lessons if you want.